a big congrats on the movie. But I just want to tell you, it's such an honor to talk to you. You made me gay, Miss Esther.
I don't think I'm that good at Dyke.
And I love the documentary. I mean, Esther Newton made me gay. Thought-provoking, eye-opening, and offers a great cultural and historical LGBTQ perspective, and I love it.
Thank you.
Oh,
I love it too.
Oh, you're so welcome. Give us the genesis of the film. How did it come about? And did director Jean Carlomusto approach you?
Well, I knew Jean from before.
Right.
We had the same girlfriend.
Yes.
And not at the same time. And
Holly, right? Holly.
And she approached me and she said she wanted to make a film about dog agility. And I was open to that, but I thought, well, how is this going to work? It's not going to be easy. And anyway, she came with us to a couple of shows. But little by little, she began to think, no, I want to make a film about Esther. And what she says is that she wanted to make a film about a Butch woman who was elderly and who had been through a lot of movement, periods of time. And so, so that it evolved like that.
No, I love that opening scene where you said there was a drunk man who asked you if you were a man or a woman. I mean, it rings true because I get that a lot too.
You do. Yeah.
Tell us about that. Tell us about that. That's a good clip.
It is a good clip. That has happened to me so many times it happened to me this morning. I mean,
yeah.
But it used to be that I would get offended, and correct the person. But at a certain point, I was like, I'm not going to do that anymore, because then when you say, I'm not Mr., then you have to live through their apology. And I decided, no, I'm not doing that anymore. So now I just go with the flow.
Yeah, exactly. Now, Butch and femme, the idea of Butch and femme is pronounced well in your documentary. Let's talk about that, because you know what, Esther, in the gay world, there's also Butch and femme. I mean, some Butch likes Butch, Butch likes femme. I like Butch. It's so confusing. Tell us about that.
Well, as you know, because you've seen it, a lot of the film is about my coming to terms with that. I first was exposed to that term Butch when I was 18, and which I had never heard it before, and by this woman who brought me out. But then I had this incredible struggle, not just about Butch, but to come out as a dyke, and it really took me until I was 26 or 27 or so to really accept that. And then there was a further struggle to come to terms with, because lesbian feminism, the movement that I was so involved with, were totally anti-Butch femme. And there were all these ideas about, you have to have sex this way, it's mutual, you do this and I do that. And it's like, that didn't work for me. Yeah. So I had to work this all out. And it took me until I was 40.
Yeah.
To work it out and say, no, this is who I am. I am Butch. I'm attracted to femme women, and I'm sticking with it. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it.
You know what? I mean, things like that you said, there were sexual conformity within the lesbian world back then. There were some people booing trans rights activists. I mean, those things I had no idea about,
Well, a big part of Jean's thinking was she wanted to familiarize younger queer people with our history. This was a way through film. It's a very powerful way to do that. So through the lens of my life, we go through these historical period, Stonewall and lesbian feminism and the AIDS and all that.
Yeah.
So I'm super happy about that, because I'm old, first thing. And second thing, I majored in history. I'm very history minded. So.
Yeah. Now, let's talk about your studies. What got you interested in studying humans, specifically gays and lesbians? Tell us about that.
Well, I always was going to study humans. I was, as I said, I was a history major in college, so that wasn't an issue. But studying gays and lesbians, I first had to, on some level, accept that I'm gay. You know, I mean, I guess straight people could, but they usually don't. And so I got involved as part of my coming out process. I got involved in the gay scene in Chicago, where I was in graduate school, and I saw drag.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is fantastic. I love it. And what was so interesting was that these drag queens, who were very stigmatized,
Yeah.
even within the gay community at that point, and yet they had these huge audiences in Chicago, and that absolutely loved these performances. So I was like, what's going on here? I really want to understand this. So, and I made friends with this wonderful drag queen who was my entree into that world.
Yeah. No, in a way, in studying the gay life, it also becomes a study of you. Is that correct?
Well, it depends how explicit you are when you write it up. I mean,
Yeah.
you can write yourself out of it,
Yeah.
or you can write yourself into it. And in my earlier work, I was not very present. But of course, you're the instrument through which this information is coming in and going out.
Yeah.
So it was only later on in my work that I started to actually write about that. And then I wrote a memoir, which is the last book I've done, called My Butch Career. So,
You know what? I like this line from the film. Information has always flowed to me in a medium of emotion. What does that mean? As I mean, I think you always come from a place of love.
that's true. And I think, I mean, anybody can, they throw you information, you read even when you're in college or high school or whatever. But what is the information that finds an answering chord with you? For me, that has always been an emotional connection, that, oh, I want to learn about this because this is connected to my life and what's important to me. And also people, you learn through people that you love, and that motivates you to find out more about them and write about them.
Yeah. But you just don't study humans, though. You also have a special bond with dogs. Tell us about that. I love that.
Well, I don't really study them or write about them that much. I mean, Jean wanted to put that into, but that's been a theme. My mother was a dog breeder, as I said in the film. And so I grew up with dogs and cats, actually. I love cats as well. And that's always been a theme. I've almost always, all my life, had a dog. And I love the dog world too, the world of dog people. As I say in the film, that people that don't love dogs think we're nuts.
Yeah. Now, when Jean approached you about the documentary,
Yeah.
what was the main edict? And how did you guys make sure that that edict is present all throughout?
What do you mean by edict?
What was your main intent? What was your main intention?
Well, it was Jean's intention.
Okay.
I just went with the flow. It was her project, it's her film. But we have this great connection because we liked each other before, and we've been through some of the same things together, including a kind of a nutty girlfriend. And so I just went with the flow of what she wanted.
And you're happy with the way it turned out?
Oh, super happy. I think it's a beautiful film. I've seen it so many times now because we've been to all these film festivals, and I like to sit through it because I like to see what the audience responds to. And I never forget the first screening that was in the States, it was in New York City, and those opening sequences of me running with my dog and beautiful photographs that Jean took of my dog. Well, she took some of them of my dog, and people went, wow, they'd never seen anything like that before. That was so interesting to me.
Oh,
The
now
hook.
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it was a hook.
Oh,
People into the film.
uh,
Weren't expecting that.
in studying LGBTQ, I mean, you saw our projection from the closet to the outside world. I mean, all the way to our rights to marry. I mean, you came out in 1959. You think, is the world better now? Are we in a better place? Should we continue fighting?
We have to continue fighting, or we're going to lose everything we won. And this is something I've said at every screening. There's this tremendous attack on our communities now. And the way they're trying to get at us is through drag queens and trans people, which is like big targets. And we can't, and I've had discussions with women like, oh, drag, I'm not into drag. I try to make them understand you don't have to be into drag, but if you're into gay marriage, which is something lesbians are into for sure, then you better stick up for drag queens, because this is how it's unrolling. And they want to take away everything, including gay marriage, So we're in a very precarious, and I live in Florida 6 months of the year, and it's really happening down there. Don't say gay and all DeSantis is going to try to ban drag shows.
Yeah.
We can't let that happen. We have to fight against that.
That's right. I agree. By the way, for my bucket list, I want to experience invading the pines.
Oh, you must do. Oh, you'd be fabulous. You'd be fabulous doing that.
I would love that. And now, Esther, your film is part of the Palm Springs International Film Festival.
Correct.
How does it feel? And what do you think of my beautiful city? It's a little cold and wet right now, but
I loved it from the moment I stepped out of the airport. I've never been here before. I couldn't believe these mountains that were there, and I don't really like mountains, but in this case, they're sort of protective. They sort of protecting Palms. I thought, oh, I was almost breathless. It's so beautiful. And I've really loved my time here.
Oh, well, you know what? You should forget Florida and move here instead.
That was the first thought I had when I got out of the airport. Why am I in Florida? This is way better.
Right. Finally, Miss Esther, what do you hope for people to get after watching Esther Newton Made Me Gay?
Well, I hope they have fun with it. I mean, that's important. But I hope that opens a door for them to understand our history better. And maybe some of them will take up dog agility.
Yeah. Yes, I know. I am thinking I have 3 dogs, all rescued. I'm gonna start doing that.
It doesn't have to be purebreds now. They have any type of dog, and they run their heights. However big or small they are, they have to jump higher or lower. You can do it.
Oh, no, big congrats on your fantastic documentary. Again, by the way, Miss Esther, is this going to be continuing to do the festival rounds? Is that the plan for the film?
I think the festival season is pretty much over. And Jean and Shanti, the producer, they have academic distribution pretty much nailed down, but they want a distributor.
Yes.
For streaming, HBO or whatever, which Jean's previous film about Larry Kramer was on HBO.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping it'll be able to be seen more widely.
I was going to say that it deserves to be seen widely. And thank you so much for sharing your life with us. And you're an influencer before that word was even coined.
Oh, but do I have to get on Instagram? No.
Good luck on everything, Ms. Esther. And thank you again. And, move to Palm Springs.
Maybe it would happen, I guess. Yeah. Thanks, man. Thank you.